Hello everyone, Bridget Casey with Bridget Casey Designs, here today for ScrapbookPal.com. Today we are working with Honeybee Succulents Honeycuts dies. We're also working with Small Card, Big Hug, Stamps, and Honeycuts dies in our project today. This project is great to use up some little cardstock pieces. So I pulled out some Altenew gradient cardstocks in Coffee Break, Seashore, Shades of Purple, and also in Summer Afternoon. And I pointed to the colors I was using. I did add one color. I changed the purple from that mid-tone to the really dark. Since all of my other colors were dark, I wanted to maintain that really dark color profile, except for that kind of lightish teal one in the middle. So I'm getting all of my dies taped down, and I'm showing you here. I love this packaging. This packaging makes me so happy. How many of us have lost one die and we don't know where it goes? This packaging solves that problem. You can look and say, oh, I'm missing that succulent, or I'm missing that pot or that leaf. I love this packaging. So I was super stoked when I lifted my die up. It made my crafty day. Do you guys have things like that happen to you as well, where you lift up a piece of something and you're like, whoa, look, I got a, pretty color of paper I didn't expect or something. So I went ahead and I die cut all of those. And now we have all of the pieces. I'm just running a strip of my Tombow mono permanent adhesive across the back of the pot, and then I'm going to start putting my arrangements together. Now, this adhesive is permanent. It will stick. It is very sticky, but you do have a good 30 to 60 seconds before it really both sides agree they're going to stick together, shall we say. So I have some time to kind of play around a little bit, and if I really want to move it, I just gently peel it up and it comes okay. See, like that. I just had to wiggle that over a little bit. So now we have two of our pots done. Now we're going to put one of each of the colors into this last one. So I'm placing the succulents and the sprigs and branches and all the fun stuff in there. And this one I wanted to lay over the top of the pot. So I wanted it to look like it was growing out of the pot. So I put my adhesive on the back of the flower, and I adhered it down so it's kind of hanging on there. And what I'll do is when we put our foam squares on the back, I'll just make sure that it really sticks on there. You could run the permanent adhesive across the back again just to make sure it's on there, but I trusted my foam squares. So I'm just showing you here. I use the 3L scrapbook adhesives, thin 3D foam squares. They come in that size, and they also have a sheet of smaller squares in there. I have used all the smaller squares, so I'm using my bigger squares, and if I have to, I just trim them down. They work just as well if I trim them to fit my project. So here we're going to use the angled Mosaic 3D embossing folder from Altenew. I have a piece of 80-pound Nina Classic Crest solar white cardstock that I'm putting in there, and I'm going to run that through my Gemini machine, and voila, I have a beautifully embossed, 3 beautifully embossed backgrounds. So I'm going to show you one of the cards. I just put foam adhesive on the back of the white panel and adhered it to an A2 navy cardstock panel, and that will be the cards. So here we're going to use VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink and some of the images, some of the sentiments, there we go, from the set. So you are always on my mind. And I love that on the carrier sheet, they kind of put them together with ones that work well together. And I'm flipping them around a little bit on here because I want to be able to fit a bunch on here because I'm making 3 cards for 3 dear friends. And you see me kind of stamping off a little bit. This was the first time I'd used this set, so I've rubbed the photopolymer off, but just to make sure it's really all off there, I like to stamp off first on a spare piece of cardstock. And that one I didn't like how it came out, so I did stamp it 3 times. But I wanted the perfect image for the perfect card for my perfect friend. So there we go. So a little tip and trick about this set. So I will bring over the stamp set because at this point I'm going, oh goodness, how am I going to know what goes with what? They line up. So if you flip that stamp set over, Life is Better is in the top left on the stamp. It's in the top right on the honey cuts. How cool is that? So you don't have to figure it out like a puzzle. I love puzzles, but and I'm making sure these are taped right into place because there's not really a thin white border around them. It cuts nice and snuggled up, so which is perfect. And I also want to just give a shout out and say thank you for not making me trim these apart with wire cutters. I have 8 little paws in this house. I have 2 kitties. And I have gotten those metal pieces in my feet before. They kind of go everywhere. I try to trim them outside if they do have those things so that it goes in the grass, you know. But I do worry about my furry little friends because one may make an appearance later in the video. They kind of have a mind of their own and run my house, if I'm being honest. So these are trimmed out. We've got our card bases ready to go. Actually, card panels. I don't put them on cards until they're literally going out in the mail. So I'm putting my sentiments together. I know I wanted to get them in the lower third of the card. What I didn't know if I wanted to stagger them. That was my first thought, was to stagger them. And then I thought about it. I'm like, no, I really put them one over the other. So I'm putting foam dots on the back of my little pot arrangements, my succulents, and I'm going to get those in the center of the card. I just thought these were so beautiful. I just wanted to do some clean and simple cards for some dear friends where I got to play with some extra pieces of paper that I've been saving forever. So now I feel really happy because I'm like, yes, I saved those for a purpose. Do you guys do that too? Do you guys save those little pieces of paper because you know there's going to be a project that you're going to need them on? All right. So now I am getting these into place and I'm making sure that these are straight. So we have that life is better with you. You are always on my mind, which is one of my favorite Elvis songs. I have many. It's, well, you were always on my mind is Elvis, but this is close enough. So we're going to get to that sentiment, and I decided to stack them centered for all of them. And then we have a trio of cards, and they were super quick to make. You so could mass produce these and just have a fun afternoon of die cutting up some of those spare pieces of cardstock we always hang on to. And there's my fur. So I couldn't cut her out. It didn't work. Thank you so much for watching today. We so appreciate it. Make sure to head on over to ScrapbookPal.com and subscribe so you don't miss any crafty fun. Until next time, happy crafting.